Invite off to Bobby. We will get moving.
There's a few bogey trees. Oh, yeah, there's lots of them. Did he clip bogey's tree? Hump tree. Get a right hump tree out of that one.
One sec.
700 for Rory. Didn't like it.
All right, very good.
It should be cut. He didn't rough it. It should be a good shot to get it on the green. Shouldn't it? Look at that. He hated it in the turn.
Okay.
Out of position, and it makes it really tough.
Good chat up here.
Good break.
There he is.
Hey, what's going on?
What's going on, Bobby?
How you doing? How's your golf lineups looking?
All right, there's that same one. I'm in second still.
Hey,
Yeah, but people have some holes on me. Yeah, Grillo ended up really nicely, -2. We'll take that at 1%. The General at -3, pretty good end. Connors has still got some holes to play. He's -2, and then I got Scheffler, Rahm, and Smith in this lineup, so they're in good shape.
pretty beautiful right there. I've got a bunch of really nice ones as well. A couple that are in the top 20 of the 88 for 50K.
Oh,
And,
beautiful.
I played a ton of Neiman, so that's obviously a pretty good start for Neiman.
Yeah, I got just a little bit of him. You know, I had him in my. Remember, I mentioned I had 2 builds when Fitzpatrick was still in. I had all these builds with Neiman and some other higher 7K guys. But then when Fitzpatrick went out, I went to play more like kind of double, triple stud and drop down to Grillo. So both would have worked out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, at the moment, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's nice. And then I've got a bunch of that Cam Young kid. He's 3 under. I've been talking about him a lot as the next guy. And Patrick Rogers is 2 under. So a lot of guys still going, you know, but it's a good. I feel pretty good about the start outside of Taylor Gooch, who's massacred my lineups. But, you know, I only have, every other one without him, I feel pretty good about. So
I'll tell you, Neiman is freaking throwing darts.
I know. He just missed that eagle, too, to put him up.
I saw that. He just hit another one inside 10 feet.
Oh, my God. The guy's just on fire right now.
Yeah.
All right, so tonight's slate is a weird slate, right? Do you find that it's a little bit of a strange slate to you too?
I guess. I mean, so let's. I like the system we've been doing. So go through your stuff, and then I'll filter in with like my value plays that I'm not supposed to play, and we'll work that way.
Okay, so look, I understand the Reggie Jackson play, obviously. It seems kind of crazy to like lock in Reggie Jackson at 6,800, but I mean, so I just think it's just a lot. There's a lot of ways things could go for the Clippers in this game. There's also blowout potential. I will be below the field on Reggie Jackson, but I'm not going to X him out or anything, but I will be below the field. And Seth Curry, another one of the guys who's going to be pretty chalky, but I really do like him actually. And so far in this offense, he's given us no reason not to. Dennis Schroeder is going to be another really, really strong play with no Porter again. And I think we're going to want to, like what I'm doing, what I initially built was a lot of just the late game, but it's a lot of speculative plays. It's not like I feel that there's one that I do feel that there's a potential, like I wouldn't be surprised if Sengun put up like 5 or 10 fantasy points, or if he puts up like 40. He only played 28 minutes last night. He's an awesome fantasy point per minute guy, even with Wood back. I don't think that eliminates him. They did play them both together for a while. And I understand the back-to-back worrying people, and I get it. I just, at no ownership, I think that's a really interesting thing to do. So I've got him as like a priority low-owned play. But Schroeder, I mentioned, Bam, I love. He's my preferred Heat play. I like Lowry on FanDuel. I think Tobias Harris is going to be low. I don't want to say low owned, but I think you're talking like 10 to 15% at 7,100. I like this matchup for him a little bit too. Again, 3-point shooter against Milwaukee, I think is interesting. I'm siding with Luka over Embiid strictly like based on the ownership, but I'm starting to question whether or not that's the right thing to do because the ownership is tighter than I thought it was going to be, at least what I'm looking at. I do really like Luka and Embiid both. And on FanDuel, I actually built a Luka, Embiid, and Giannis lineup. We have a lot of speculative value today and not a lot of like obvious, this is a must play value, guys like Luke Kennard or something, you know what I mean? I do like one of the three Heat. I'm going to mix them around, but Gabe Vincent, Duncan Robinson, Max Struss, with no Caleb Martin there. Again, it's a perfect matchup for these guys, for one of these guys to like just tee off from 3-point range. I don't know which one it'll be yet, but I don't think they do either. So I like the idea of mixing those three guys up. I'll probably have double-digit percentage of ownership of each of them, and I think Vincent will probably be the most popular, but I don't think it'll be anything drastic, and it could just as easily be Struss off the bench in this game. So that's what I'm doing over there, and I like Joe Val as a sneaky play. And then it's going to be just mixing in the Houston LAC guys on the Clipper side. I have Zubac, Mann, Batum, and Kennard as my priorities. Just obviously, the Jackson's the obvious one, but I think I'm going to try to focus on building away from that and just either hoping for blowout run or that Reggie Jackson. It's not like he always has to get there. There are other guys in this team. On the Houston side, I think Christian Wood's a great play now, but I'm going to have some Sengun. I'm going to have some Tate, and I'm going to have some Green. And I'm wondering if we just play some of these guys and maybe who knows if they mix up their starting lineup or do something a little different. You could get Garrison Matthews as a really solid play as well. And I think Josh Christopher is the ultimate like long shot guy to play for them. So that's sort of the general rundown of what I'm doing. But I still feel like there's news to be decided. I mean, if we hear all of a sudden Jimmy Butler, I know they announced he's going to play. If we hear anybody's out, the slate will drastically change because we have a bunch of what seem like good plays, but there's huge risk with all of them. You know, the best point per dollar guys like Kennard and Schroeder and Jackson and even Zubac, that it doesn't need to be their show. Like everyone, they all have, in my opinion, fairly large risk levels for guys who are going to be as popular as they are. So I will be sprinkling them in, but I'm trying to be below the field on each of those guys with the exception of potentially Zubac. And again, it could change later in the day once we see starting lineups and how my lineups are doing. I'm going to have the ability to switch on or off some Clippers tonight. So that's just sort of an overall rundown. I got a friend that offered me free tickets to the Clipper game tonight, which I turned down because got a lot of site work to do anyway. But this is a really ugly game for regular life, and it should be a really fun fantasy game. So trying to play that late game and mix in all these different combinations as value where I can.
So you left off. You didn't mention two of the top rated guys for me, value guys. So want to bring those up to you. One is James Johnson from Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
I
like him.
And the other one, Isaiah Hartenstein always is going to look like okay, but one guy you mentioned a whole bunch of Houston's. The guy I have as a top point per dollar play is KJ Martin. Do you like him at all?
You're just totally playing. I do have him in some lineups, to be honest, but I think I'm sort of surprised that would be the case. I don't have him projected for much ownership or anything. I don't really know where he fits in.
Right.
You just had a situation where Wood was out and he played 23 minutes and had 21 fantasy points.
I mean, I really don't like anything on Houston. I mean, I don't like I don't particularly Sengun showing up so great for me either.
Or he's not going to show up well projection wise.
Or Jalen Green or anybody. So
that's the reason you play these guys though.
Okay.
Because I mean, Sengun put up 50 fantasy points last night. It's not like he's the best player on that team right now, in my opinion, and is 4,500. And I'm not going to say on a back-to-back they're just going to turn it over and play him 28 minutes. I also don't buy for 1 minute that 20 minutes is his average expected minutes tonight. I just don't buy that at all. I think that there's definitely a chance he plays like 12, but I think there's also a better chance that he plays 28. I just think it's going to be somewhere in the 24 plus range. And because no one's playing him, that's why he's showing up for me. But the KJ Martin thing is like a much worse version to me of that Sengun play.
Okay.
It's a guy who doesn't really get more than, I mean, again, he got 24 minutes in a game without Christian Wood. Why would we be expecting that he's going to play? And I'm looking at it right now. They've got him projected to play more minutes tonight than he played last night. Why?
Do you like any Pay Tucker?
Yeah, I actually have some of him, but that's just because of the nature of the slate.
Okay. So let's go. Let's talk about the good players now. You mentioned Embiid. You like Luka more than Embiid just because of ownership, right? But like you were saying,
Really close.
it's close. I have Embiid like 35% and Luka 25
Yeah.
as projected ownership. I have Embiid like significantly better play to his relative to his price, but I don't know. I can't separate the two of them. And Giannis, I mean, I like all three of them, like you said. I mean, if you could build one of those cool lineups with all three of them, hey, make it work.
Yeah, I don't think you can do it on draft. I actually don't think it's mathematically possible on DraftKings.
Right, but what about Butler? And you mentioned Butler and Bam. I like both of those. I think those are both really strong. I think if you don't play Embiid or Giannis, or if you don't play both of them, whatever, that I think you should probably try one of those two. Either Bam or Butler. He's showing up, and again, it's the same thing as yesterday. And you gave me some good advice about this. Like, so Kuzma looked like a really, really strong play on FanDuel, and you said, "Well, just go ahead and play him on DraftKings," and he had a good game, and he's going to really look scary at 9K.
He's scary about it, personally, but yeah, I hear you.
But
go ahead.
Oh, my point is that I mean, he's still rates to be a good play even at 9K.
He's a great play, and unfortunately, people are smart enough to where they're going to play him. His median expected fantasy points here, I feel like, should be 50, not 45. He was 9 for 27 last night, from the floor, and he put up 58 fantasy points. And people say, "Oh, good matchup." This is a good matchup too. Like, he is their offense. He creates everything for them. His usage rate was 35% yesterday. It's just really, I think he's a really, really strong play. I actually have him as a better play than Butler. And that's a little scary to think about. But if you really look at who else they have on their team, I mean, who else do you run the offense through at all? Like, I honestly can't. There's not one other player. I guess Ruri's going to play tonight, so you're going to have another guy who can actually do like a little bit. But yeah, I mean, and by the way, I hate to do it, but like KCP's usage has been up. I will be mixing him in as well. I just usually have more strong takes on taking shots. And the only guy who stands out to me, and again, when I say play Şengün, I'm not saying you could play 10%, you'll be 10 times the field on Şengün, unless we hear something else before, before lock. I just think that there's no reason why he can't go off. But I'm not saying that he's like the best play. Like, median wise, and for people playing cash, don't even think about this. This is just trying to make a tournament play, a guy who can maybe even win you a tournament at 4,500. So that's the reason I like this. So keep going. Sorry, with your guys.
No, that's fine. So on FanDuel, I'm trying to find. They still refuse to give Lowry a price tag over there that you could fade, I guess. So Lowry with that pace-up matchup. Not that he's like that. Probably a guy that's going to benefit that much from it, but
he would, yeah.
He's 5,600 over there. I mean, that's really strong. Kuzma's only 7,700 over there. I like. You mentioned him already on DraftKings, but certainly a higher ownership on FanDuel. I like Valanciunas at 6,400. And he's not going to be high owned, but he's going to be higher, right, than DraftKings. Because Embiid is certainly the best play at center. But if you didn't want to, if you didn't want to build that way, I do like Valanciunas over there.
Totally agree. I'm only playing one big lineup on FanDuel tonight, and it's the first thing I thought of was, okay, well, I'll overload. I'm playing multiple lineups on DK. I'll overload Kuzma on DraftKings, and I'll underweight him on FanDuel but then I realized I'm only playing one big one. What if I just fade Kuzma over there and accept that he gets 45 fantasy points or so, or hope he gets 40-ish, and just go with a different build by playing all three of Giannis, Embiid, and Luka?
You know who I'm getting on FanDuel? Thomas Bryant's only 4,600.
I don't know if that's relevant for me.
Okay.
I mean, look, he's a guy who could always put up a game, but this is the worst situation he's been in because Gafford's back and Hachimura is playing, and we haven't seen him have a game yet. He did put up 30 against this team last time in 20 minutes. I mean, sure, he's a value guy. I'm going even more dumpster diving with my value and playing a narrative. which is Hartenstein and Tucker. And it worked really well last night. That was what gave me a chance to have a good lineup over there, was that I played McDaniels and Grant Williams at a combined, I think, 6% ownership. And
yeah, I played them over. I played Grant Williams over there too.
Yeah, but they both put up 30, and then all of a sudden, all the rest of your guys just have to do their job.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you could win a tournament because you get the 1% and the 5% combined, and they both 10 near or whatever 8x or 9x on FanDuel, whatever the hell it was. It's a good way to go. And guys like Amir Coffey, I'm putting in my lineups on FanDuel. Jalen Green, KCP. Those are the other value pieces you can use for your, if you're going to go for that heavy stud build, which I'm just intrigued to do. I would love to do the heavy stud build with Kuzma, but it's just mathematically does not work. And as Rody said, hey guys, please hit the like button. We appreciate it. And then let's jump into some questions and some thoughts. Look, the Luka Embiid thing. When I say I have Luka Embiid, I like Luka, because that was an ownership thing when I was looking at. I thought it was going to be more like 15% versus 35%, 40%. At 2-1, I definitely like Luka better. When it starts getting 35-25 or somewhere in that range, I don't think that. I would say that makes them basically even, because I do agree about Embiid. With one difference is, there is actual blowout risk every time Milwaukee plays at all. It's very hard for me to imagine Philadelphia getting just absolutely. They lost that was the worst loss that I can ever remember them having. They lose by 45 or something. I'll use that as enough of a reason to play Luka over Embiid if the ownership was different. But again, as it is right now, I'm probably going to end up with a similar amount of both of them. But it's going to be a lot. And I'm not playing Giannis in my big buy-ins currently on DraftKings. I may throw him into one medium-sized buy-in. I can't play everybody. So he's the one who sort of gets left by the wayside for me.
Dennis Schroeder on FanDuel is 4,300.
Yeah, and that's going to be what I mentioned Jalen Green, but now with the news, I'm going to switch my Jalen Green over to Dennis Smith Jr.
Dennis Smith Jr.?
I'm sorry, not Dennis Smith Jr.
Dennis Schroeder.
Dennis Schroeder. Oh, gotta get my head straight sometimes with these things. It's not like their names are even that similar. Just I do it all the time with Scheffler and Schauffele. That's at least understandable. That one doesn't really make any sense. All right, I'll take a look at some questions too, if that's cool with you, because I think there's some good stuff here. Gapper's active. Brian on a minutes limit, and Rui's back from an ankle. Rui potentially gets more minutes tonight. No, Rui's definitely hurt. I don't think that they would be stupid enough to just go out there and let him play a bunch, but he can get there in short periods of time. So I'm okay if you want to try the Rui thing. I think there's other guys I just like better. I have him in I scripted out a lineups. Unfortunately, I didn't get him into the original 100K for first one, but they're in the $20, the max entries. I definitely have Rui in that format, but I don't think I'm going to play any Rui in my big buy-ins. He might squeak his way into like a one medium-sized buy-in, but I don't know. I think he's okay. From everything I've heard, that he is banged up, and he's coming already back from a very, very serious injury. Maybe they don't want to give him all those minutes right away. Of course, there's a game script that could lead it to him being valuable, but I'm personally not as high on that one. All right, let's see what else we got here. Middleton today. What do I think? I do like Middleton. I prefer Drew, to be honest with you. I really, really like Drew, and I'm watching to see if he just missed it. I really like Drew, and I think Middleton's a very solid play. So that's another thing you can do, which I'm doing on DK, to get away from my Giannis exposure, to get away from Giannis, because I do like it that I do want some exposure on the run back in that game, and I really like Holiday a little bit better, but I think you could make just the same case for Middleton that you can for Holiday. All right. How accurate are which minutes over Kleber? I like Kleber as a tournament play for sure. I don't know why his minute. Well, I don't know why he's so far lower. Like if you're talking about Kleber versus Rui, just straight up, I would take Kleber. I like Kleber. I don't think it's like a must or anything. He's at 8%. I think I scripted him up to 18%. So that's pretty high. What are your thoughts on Kleber?
I didn't really get to him today.
Okay. Strus is absolutely in play. All those Miami guys, what will happen is one of them will have like a 7 to 10x kind of a game. And it's very hard to know which one because it's just going to come on how many 3-point shots they make. It's really the truth. And
Right.
we know how that goes. We've seen it at weird times. Sometimes it's the starters, sometimes it's the bench guys. It really fluctuates with them in these situations. But this matchup is just begging to play them. So,
Just see. Did I lose you, Bobby?
no. It's okay.
Oh,
Just double checking some Twitter things to see if there was any other news. Cam Thomas, I like as a long shot play for Brooklyn. Don't count on anything like last night from Brooklyn. Like they were getting, first of all, the Knicks should be ashamed of themselves. They were getting smashed last night. Like that game looked like it was going to be over. I mean, it looked like it was over in the second quarter when they were down like almost 30.
right.
So I wouldn't count on all the guys who played last night to get the run. And what's amazing is Cam Thomas took 21 shots. Here's what's amazing and what's not amazing. He took 21 shots last night. He was 9 for 21. He had a 30% usage rate, and yet somehow still only scored 29 fantasy points. The guy doesn't really rebound. He doesn't create shots for others, and he's basically a 0 when it comes to steals and blocks. So that's my issue with playing Cam Thomas. Of course, he could do it and shoot himself into a game and all that. I actually really like Bruce Brown, and I think he's getting overlooked because he doesn't look like, you look like, oh, he had the huge game, and then he had a terrible, lousy game against the Knicks. He also missed a lot of potentially one more full rotation. Potentially 10 more minutes actually of play because they were going with that bench unit that brought them back. And also Drummond missed out those minutes too. Drummond is probably the most interesting play of the night on Brooklyn. You have the back-to-back. You have LMA on a back-to-back. I don't know if they're going to let LMA go nuts. And he played a lot of minutes in that second half last night. Only played 5 minutes in the first half. So I'm sort of like hesitant to fully commit myself to Drummond here because they could also just use Blake as the other LaMarcus. But I think Drummond has a chance. There's definitely upside for him at his $6K price tag. And Washington, even though with Gafford back on a restriction, I don't feel like there's anybody size-wise who can compete. Drummond should be able to get all the rebounds that are available. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, earlier, they're going to be on a break now. There's no reason to not play him.
Yeah. And not playing any of the top 3 guys is absolutely more than viable. I mean, that's completely a logical way to play. I don't even think that's going to be unusual. Like that's just a really basic, makes sense as that's how you'd play. Cash game lineups, I think you actually could probably get away with not playing any of those guys. And I also think you could get away with playing either Luka or Embiid. But I have no interest in Charlotte whatsoever. Look, we should learn our lesson with this Miami situation. We talk about it every single show. I'll take I love the under in that game. Sure, could somebody get hot? Yeah, you're essentially taking guys like Kuzma and or at least LaMelo's in a similar price tag, and just throwing a dart at the board and hoping that it works. I can't find a reason to really be heavily on any Charlotte player in literally the nut low matchup for basically every position. So if you guys want to do it, go ahead and do it. It's not the way that I play, especially the fact that it's the first game. You never know what kind of starting lineup comes out that maybe you might want to make a switch 20 minutes later, 30 minutes later, 45 minutes later, whatever, before the next game's lock. I don't find myself with any interest in these Charlotte guys. If you're asking specifically about a site though, like maybe on FanDuel, because I didn't really consider them at all, but if you're going to I would play Rozier on FanDuel. He's legitimately a good play over there at 7,500. And I think LaMelo's in play more at 8,800 because it's also easier to get to spend us. We don't have that many guys we can spend on DK. So right. It's just, I don't have a guy for you. Every matchup, think about it. I mean, depending on who Jimmy Butler guards, Kyle Lowry, not just this year, his team is always in the top 3 against point guards again for defense over the last 5 years.
Is that true? Oh,
yeah. Jimmy Butler is as good or better defender for basically whatever position he decides to guard. Bam is legitimately like the nuts at center defensively. He actually has got a shot at defensive player of the year this year. And sure, there's a couple weak spots in there, but when you put that out there, it's just how are you going to take advantage of it? I like Miami to cover, and I like the under in that game.
I like Miami to cover that game too.
All right, so we're in line on that. All right, let's see what else we got here. Ingram or McCollum? I have no interest in McCollum. It would be Ingram for me, but they're $1,000 difference. So I always try to understand these questions because my brain doesn't ever work like that. Like I never think about a player who's $1,000 more versus the other one. You know what I mean? They're literally in like a different price tier. Now, if they're 12 and 13,000 or something, that's a little different because then it's a similar price tier.
And it's close enough, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. But when they're $1,000 in between, I mean, I could name a bunch of guys who I like in that 1,000 range. So take Bam versus McCollum. Who do you think has the better chance at 50 tonight? I think it's astronomically Bam. It's a terrible matchup for New Orleans. Of course, can one of these guys go off on these small slates? Yeah. I mean, we got 50 out of McCollum in the last game. It was yesterday. He played 38 minutes in Memphis. Now they go back home to play Dallas. And McCollum's had some great games. Is he going to keep shooting 15 of 25, 12 of 15? And is he going to have all the offensive work for all the assists? Is he going to score more fantasy points most of the time here than Brandon Ingram? Yes. Is Brandon Ingram's $1,000 savings valuable? I think also yes. And I think Joe Val has a great chance here to have a big game, especially because he didn't play as many minutes last night on the front end. And Dallas has, even though their defense is overall, it's good, they have no matchup for a guy with his strength and size. So that's who I would lean on the most if I wanted to try to pick out a player on that side. But you don't need to have a run back in every situation. Wigginton dart throw is fine. It's not what I'm doing. I would prefer Jordan. No, I would prefer Noel. I'm sorry, Nwaba. Not Nwaba. No, sorry. I'm getting all my names mixed up today. Sorry about this. Nwora. Nwora, not Noel, not Nwaba, Nwora. I would prefer Nwora, but I don't even have all that much interest in that. But I think he's the one I would side with. Christian Wood, I like. Yes, I do like Christian Wood. Bradley Beal's been hurt forever. Who do I like better between Jalen Green and Short? Oh, Schroeder, astronomically a better play, but Schroeder is going to be probably 40 to 50% owned on the higher buy-ins and maybe the mid buy-ins too. And we don't know for sure that he starts again. I think that he will. And I think that he significantly is going to project better than Jalen Green. But I would encourage people to mix in a little bit of Jalen Green, and you can play them both together on this kind of a slate too. They can combine even if they combine for 60, but meanwhile they could combine for 70, and they're 44 and 4,700 on DK. I like both of those plays.
Yeah,
I'm going to get overloaded exposure to this last game, and I like that Christian Wood is not going to get any attention. What I'm going to do though, is I don't think he's a better play than Bam is, but I think you can play him and Bam. That would be the tournament non-spend up build that I like. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I'm just updating some stuff here.
Yeah, as I just mentioned, I have no interest in McCollum personally. PJ Tucker, I like PJ Tucker because of the nature of the slate. I'm not going to go out there ever and say PJ Tucker's an awesome play tonight. I'm never going to do that because we know what happens. So
you just feel as though you could use 35. I mean, you can get a consistent 3,500.
Yeah, and the game environment's a good environment for him. He can get a couple steals. That's why I like it better on FanDuel too. Get some steals and some blocks out of him. Maybe the team plays fast. They turn the ball over, and he should have some open looks in the corner as well. So all of those to say that I think PJ Tucker is viable. Not exciting, but viable. All right, let's keep it looking.
Having issues here.
What do you got? What's going on?
No, it's just my own issues.
Technical issues?
Yeah.
All right. Guys, any more questions? I'm gonna go finish building my lineups. I have a few extra minutes in case we want to go through any more questions. This does not need to be a stars and scrubs slate, but I like the studs a ton. So I am forcing some weird value. But I think that, like I mentioned, PJ Tucker is not a great example of this, of the value. But like one of those three Miami guys is a great example of a guy who could 10x his price. Maybe you go with Struss, cheapest and the lowest owned. Batum, Mann, Kennard, Zubac, Green, obviously the aforementioned Schroeder. These guys really allow you to do some things with your lineups, and they're not all going to get there, but some of them are. And if you get the right mix, that's how you're going to have a chance to win. Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson is a solid play still, even with Dinwiddie there. I'm not personally using him a ton tonight, but I think that he's completely fine. And I actually like him for a middling build if you're using no studs. All right. And let's see what else we got here. Heat will start Lowry, Robinson, Butler, Tucker, Bam. That's nothing surprising there.
Nothing new, right?
Yeah. And let's see what we got. I'm just taking a look and see if there's anything in the chat channel. No, looks like we're drying up on questions. But guys, I will be around for in Discord again all night. We've been doing a good job answering questions late there. Clay just got here. He's asked for a spend up on FanDuel. I'm spending up for all three guys. I'm just telling you right now. That's my initial plan. Not sure I'm going to stick with it in my one big buy-in, but I'm planning on trying to get all three in one lineup, and I have a lineup that I like with all three. So that's what I'm doing now. Anyway, guys, good luck tonight, everybody. Appreciate all the kind words, and let's crush it. And with that,
I'm gonna split too. Actually, I'm gonna hang out here for a few minutes, but I'm just gonna do
good
my
luck,
thing.
everybody.
Just want to see something. So I guess I got to resave this. Then I'm going to redo my FanDuel lineup. Let me try something. I wonder how much Schroeder I really want. That's my question. I think it's kind of a tough fade, though. Why can't I save this? Okay. I'll get some questions in a minute. Again, it's just easier for me to do this but then close you guys out. I'm just updating my projections one more time. Let me see something. Do one more run, and then I will tell you my ownerships. Then I'm going to probably get out of here because I have a couple of bigger buys I want to kind of focus on. All right, so there's Roto Reds over here. Let's see, okay, I'll do one more run here, and then I got to run, I think. I'm waiting for some news to come in probably that's going to ruin the slate. We have Joaquin Neiman really just pouring it on. That's really not good for me, actually. Now I don't have him in my big buy-in. But he's really, really killing people right now. He's really going to run away with it, but he's having a really good round. Sorry, I'm just having a lot of technical difficulties over here. Making for some incredibly poor content, but it is what it is, unfortunately. Why is this not working then? Let me try something. Let's do yeah, it's extremely poor content, but I have it involves these projections that I have to work on. And unfortunately, I do have to do my lineups as well, so this is like really frustrating. So I'm just gonna go in a couple of seconds here. Sorry. I can't get this one guy to update here. Yeah, I don't know what to do. All right, I gotta run, guys. I'm really sorry.